You know, an NBA 2K coach, you can't trade injured players, but I guess in the league you could do it. But what do you make of what Ramona had to say there?
No, I think she makes some great points there, but I'm going to tell you, it's a kid that I coached there, Tyler Johnson, who you better not sleep on. Tyler is fearless. He's tough. He guards the ball. He's played backup point guard for us when I was in Miami. He can handle the role well. He's been seasoned and coached in multiple places now. So I do think they have a good safety net in Tyler Johnson and a guy that's going to compete. And remember, the ball is going to be in KD's hands and LeVert's hands. Simple as that. And so if a guy can get it over half court, get the ball to the right guys, and they can guard the position, they're a great filler for the Nets.
Yeah, and I think that kind of third role now, I mean, Dinwiddie was kind of feeling that out. He didn't have a huge scoring load, at least through the first couple of games of the season. But I think, you know, you look at Karis LeVert, who's going to have to carry that burden now for sure when it comes to the scoring. So beyond, obviously, KD and Kyrie. But let's move on to James Harden, Ramona, who you mentioned, who dropped 44 points and 17 times in an overtime loss to the Blazers in his season debut on Saturday. So, Momo, is Harden's big stat line in his debut something, nothing, or everything?
I almost want to take a page out of your book and go in between, okay? But I don't know how something and everything go together. Everything? I don't know. We'll go like that. Look, we all know James Harden can ball out. Like, he is a great player, but sometimes it helps to be reminded of that, right? We haven't seen that since the bubble. We haven't seen him play and have a game like that where they're obviously down a lot of players. It was like James versus everybody, okay? Like they didn't have and they were playing a really good team up there in Portland. And so to me, like, him showing out like that, especially coming off the issues that he had, right? Where he obviously was a huge distraction to the team. It was negative press for him, negative press for the team. You know, I've talked about this with a lot of folks around the league. Has James Harden hurt his trade value by the way that he has acted off the court? I don't think so. From my understanding, George, the offers for James are good. There are several of them. You know, one person told me there's at least 6 teams that have made offers that are very interested in Harden. So to me, I don't think anything's hurt his trade value, but it's always good to remind people how good you are.
Absolutely. Now, I think it's something as well. I think anytime you get to see that talent back on the court, and you can just see that even when he's a little distracted with all of the stuff that's going on, that's how good he is he's still better than most players in the NBA. And he almost went up there to Portland and beat a really good Portland team. You know, I haven't really praised Portland to the level that I should, but with Nurkic on the court, they look like a different team a lot of times. And so with James going up there and almost willing that victory, the reason I say it's something is because you are going to get Wall back and you're going to get Boogie back. And if they can get those 3 talents to play together where James is enjoying it and they are winning games, maybe Houston can reel them back in and get them back into the fold. That's going to be a tall task, but I think that's why it's something, is because he's back on the court and those other 2 guys are coming back soon.
Yeah, I agree, and I would also go something. But here's the thing, not to mention, you know, let's not forget about Christian Wood, who also balled out in that game, and the Rockets paid a nice chunk of change to bring him to that roster. I think that's a kid also that you have to look at. I know a lot of executives perhaps looked at him and said, well, he's putting up big numbers on bad teams or whatever. But this kid can play, legitimately can play, and I think he can help that team. And I don't know, Momo, what do you think? Is there any chance that Houston could reel him back in, or is that ship sailed?
I'm never going to say never, okay? Right. Because I firsthand covered a team like that here in Los Angeles when Kobe Bryant wanted to be traded to literally anywhere but the Lakers back in 2007. I mean, he was, you know, trade me to Pluto. I think that was the line that he used. So it has happened in the past. I don't think it's going to happen here. I think James wants to be traded. I think that's very clear. And I think all this does is remind his suitors, who, by the way, there are already, I'll say it again, at least 6 teams that I know have inquired about him. I think they already want him. It's about negotiating right now. And, you know, somebody very close to the situation told me last night, like, let's see what this does to the offers over the next week or 2, and to see how they improve. Not just by one game, he has to sustain this, okay? But this was a nice reminder, and I do think James still wants to be moving on and going someplace else. It's just a question of whether the Rockets can find a trade to their liking.
All right.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.